Hey everybody, welcome back. Here we are, day 38, part 2, otherwise known as day 39. This is our bonus episode of
Who makes the sauce? Who makes the meal? Who makes your cook time completely ideal? With a dash of salt and a pinch of love, you get the best food right out from your oven. So quit all your bitching and get in the kitchen. It's time, Chef Teddy and Paul.
And last time on Chef Teddy and Paul, we're going to make my Nana's sauce and her raisin meatballs. Teddy just informed me that sauté does not mean what I think it means. I can't find my meat. Okay, that is not a euphemism. Don't look at my meat, it's private. That was a euphemism. That brown, oh, that's smelly. Ugh. Blech. With our paws. So our sauce is percolating. I've just finished mixing all the meat with my hands. Ugh. And I'm going to have to put my hands back in it again. So let's see what happens next. I'm going to grab a couple of plates here. And I'm supposed to make them into small meatballs. I know the size that she used to make them. That's about their size. Probably about an inch in diameter. Using my handy dandy middle knuckle, which if you didn't know, your middle knuckle is about an inch long. Everybody's. Who knew? It's like one of those biological facts. Like if you put your arms out to the side, from your middle finger to your middle finger, that's equal to your height. Huh, right? All right. So. It's 2:45. No one in the place except you and me. So set 'em up, Joe. It's just I got a story I think you should know. We're drinking, my friend, to the end of a brief episode. Make it one for my baby and one more for the road. You wouldn't know it, but buddy, I'm a kind of poet, and I got a lot of things to say. But when I'm gloomy, you simply gotta listen to me until it's talked away. Well, that's how it goes. And Joe, I know you're getting anxious to close. So thanks for the cheer. I hope you didn't mind my bending your ear. This torch that I found, it must be drowned or it soon might explode. Make it one for my baby and one more for the road. That long, oh darling, it's a long, long road. Okay, that's the last one. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19. I could probably get 20 out of them if I just make a couple of them a little bit smaller, but this is where I am right now, and I'm not redoing it. So, there you go. Okay, so I finished making the meatballs. We have this one and this one with regular breadcrumbs, and this one with the Italian herb breadcrumbs. Um, these I used a little bit less raisins because I wanted to see. It seemed like there was a lot of raisins in some of these up here. Maybe 3 ounces was a little much, so I put 2 ounces in these back here. So it's just basically 3 batches, made exactly the same way. And now what we do is, let me re-aim the camera here so that you can see. Voila. We want to simmer these. And this is the part that always gets me because I don't have patience for it. I always want to turn to heat up too high. But I'm not going to do that this time. We're going to go slow. You never know when they're finished either. That's another problem that I have with meats. So when are they done? How do you know? And these are meatballs, so I mean the rarity is really a personal preference. I don't like rare meat, so I'm not looking for rare, but you may. But the point is, so the point is that you got to go slow, and I want them cooked all the way through. You may not, so judge your time. You really only need them to get up to 180 degrees on the outside. That will kill off any bacteria that could be sitting on the surface of your meat. This is definitely an old world cooking method. You know, simmer the sauce for 2.5 hours, simmer these meatballs done. People took a lot more time to cook than we do with our microwaves and our air fryers and fast food and TV dinners. Okay, the trick here is once you get to this light sizzling, which is what we mean by simmering, we don't want to be at a point where we're just absolutely going crazy. That would be like a boil. We don't want that. We want this easier. We want constant turning now. We constantly be moving these around so that they're not on the same area getting cooked. This can be harder than it looks from time to time because some of them don't want to sit in the area you want them to sit in. Often you can just give them a little squeeze and they'll go exactly where you want. If you start to hear your heat get a little bit too out of hand, put it back down again. I have mine at 3 right now. I just put it down to 2 because I felt like I was getting a little bit ahead of myself. Those look just about done. Oh no, escape raisin. We can take them off the heat. I'm gonna hold on to this little buddy, and I want to cut into him and see how done he is. He's gonna give us our idea of whether we're finished or not. And he is pretty much done on the inside. Next ones. We are on the third batch now, and I've learned some important lessons, so I'm going to point those out. I needed a little bit more oil in the pan than what I was using. That made it a lot easier for the second batch. First batch is fine, it's just it took a lot longer to cook than I intended or wanted. So this is the original ones, and these are the ones with the Italian herbs, and this is the ones with a little bit less meat, a little bit less raisins. I've also taken a few of the ones with a little bit less raisins, and I put them in the sauce. That's another method you can go with. Just put them completely raw right in the sauce. It's about 7 of them in there. I didn't do a lot of them. Just enough to kind of fill the bottom of the pan so that they can heat evenly. And that would sit in there for like half an hour, 35 minutes. That's not the way that my grandmother would make them. The reason why I know that is because when she put them on the table, they didn't have sauce on them. So she did not put them in the sauce to cook them. But it is a method you can use, and I'm doing that for a couple of them just to kind of see, compare and contrast. So we did take these last 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, the last 15 of them. And do the same thing we were doing before. Just constantly turning them. Keep them super happy. Don't let them get too done on any one side. But you don't have to worry about them going too fast. You have your heat low enough. I have mine at about 2. The pan is good and hot. That residual heat is working well with them. So I had an interesting day today. Other than sleeping in and talking to my family on Zoom for the beginning part of the day, because that's what we do on Sundays. We have our Sunday chit-chat. And but nobody has a Zoom membership, so the conversation always ends at 4:40, no matter whether we like it or not. It's just boop, done. So after that, I listened to a friend's podcast, the Millie G Show. If you're wondering, it's very cool. She had a couple of things that said that I would love to have a conversation with her about, but I take her at her word. She has some thoughts, and I like her thoughts most of the time. I was a guest star on her podcast once. Spent some time talking about alternate religion practices, and it was a lot of fun. But after that, I needed to go to the supermarket because I needed to pick up all the ingredients for said raisin meatballs and sauce. So, yep, ran out to Publix, got my mask and everything, and threw it on, went to the Publix. But before I went to the Publix, I had purposely taken out this piece of paper, which is the recipe that my grandmother gave me years and years and years and years and years ago. She's passed now, so I mean she can't give it to me now or give me any advice, but that's the recipe for the raisin meatballs and the sauce. And I'd asked her for it when I was in college, and she gave it to me. So I'd read it over a couple of times last night and this afternoon before I went to the supermarket, and put it in my pocket and went off to the store just to buy what I needed. I get to the Publix, I walk in the door, I reach in my pocket, and it's not in my pocket. I have a receipt for a payment stub for my car payment in my pocket. And I don't have a car payment anymore. I paid off my car years ago. So how that got in my pocket as opposed to this, I'm not 100% sure. It might have just been sitting in there. I was using it earlier in the month for a prop for one of my previous Days of Confinement. So I might have put it in my pocket there, but because it was in there, I thought that that was the recipe with all the ingredients. So I'm at Publix and I purchased all of the ingredients that I could remember. Now I'm like, okay, so I know I need ground sirloin, and I know I need hot sausage, and I know I need pepperoni, and I know I need the crushed tomatoes, and I know that I need the Progresso breadcrumbs, and I know that I need, a few other things that are in the recipe. I'm like, okay, well, hopefully I'm remembering everything. And I get home, and this is sitting right on the tables, the door side table. I pick it up, I'm like, oh no, I forgot the cheese. And that was the smelly cheese that I forgot. And of course I had to run back out to Publix and get it again. But I'll tell you, Publix is so much nicer to go to. Oh my goodness. I tried to go out last night to get the ingredients. And it was after 8, so Publix was already closed. So I said, you know what? Let me just go to see if I can go to Walmart. I wanted to go to Walmart anyway because I thought maybe they might have that nacho cheese that I've been looking for since nobody else seems to have it. And I get to the Walmart that's in Lighthouse Point, or right across the street from Lighthouse Point in Pompano. And there's a line out the door and down around the building. I'm like, are they waiting to pick something up? Is something being released today? Is this like, what's going on? Are they selling tickets to Billy Joel? What's happening? No, they have a certain amount of people that they let in the store at a time, and they had already reached that limit, so they weren't letting anybody else inside. Anybody else who wanted to go inside had to wait. And like I said, I looked at this line. I said, no way. I live within the distance, equal distance roughly, between 3 different Walmarts. There's a giant Walmart out on Atlantic. There's that giant Walmart that's nearly in Deerfield. And then there's a neighborhood grocer Walmart that is just north of Atlantic Boulevard. Like I said, but I'm pretty much right in the middle of all 3 of them. I mean, the grocery one, the neighborhood one, is probably the closest, but it's really negligible difference. You're talking the difference between 2 miles and 1.5 miles. So getting to any of them is really easy. But I hate Walmart, so I don't go there very often. But after seeing the line that was at the one that was in nearly Deerfield, across from Lighthouse Point, I thought, well, let me go to the neighborhood one and see what they have there, see if there's a big line there. And there wasn't, and I was like, okay, good. Let me just run inside and see if I can get my stuff. Well, not only did they not have the stuff that I needed, but oh my God, are Walmart people awful. I'm walking down one of the aisles, and they have the same thing as they have at Publix. They have the aisles that go one direction and not anybody else going. You can't go the other direction, or you're not supposed to go the other direction. But everybody's walking the wrong goddamn way. I'm trying to follow these rules. I'm going down aisles I don't need to go down. I don't need to go down the pet food aisle. I don't need to go down the charcoal aisle. But I'm going down it because I need to get to one of the other aisles. And I reach one lady, and she's about to enter the aisle as I'm getting ready to exit. So she's getting ready to come in the wrong way as I'm getting ready to go out the correct way. And I just point down at the floor at her because there's a sign right there that says do not enter and an arrow pointing the opposite direction. And she just looks at me, and I point again, and she says, what? I don't understand what you mean. And I indicate to the floor again. Now I'm wearing a mask, mind you. I don't like to talk when I'm wearing the mask because it's all muffled, and I don't like it. It makes my mask wet inside my face, and I don't like that. So I don't want to talk. And she's like, what, can't you talk? Is the mask keeping you from talking? I'm like, no, there's only one way. You can't go in this way. She says, why not? Who says? And I point at the floor again, and she just walks right by me. Afterwards, I was so upset. Like, what kind of person is that? I'm thinking to myself afterwards, of course, you think afterward what you should have said. When she said, can't you talk? I should have said, can't you read? But, knowing Walmart customers, it's possible she didn't know how to read. So aggravating. And she wasn't wearing a mask either. That's another thing. Just people. If you find that any of these raisins are falling off, which they will, that's what these are. These are all the lost raisins. Take them out of the pan because it will affect your cooking and they will burn. And there is sugar in them, so they will caramelize, and that may really affect how your flavor comes out at the end. Maybe good, you know, but that's a matter of opinion. It's not the flavor that we're intending it to taste like. Let's give the one that's the biggest a cut in half. If he's done, then everybody's done. He's not quite done yet, so everybody's not quite done yet. But he'll be done in a second as I butterfly him. Ooh, butterfly! You see these chefs on TV, and they make it look so easy. Not just the cooking and the figuring out the recipes and everything, you know, something like MasterChef where they don't even know what they're going to be cooking ahead of time. It's just, here's some ingredients, figure it out. And they can put them together and make a great meal. And you know, you look at somebody like me who's trying to figure out how to make meatballs and figure out how they're done, looking at them from the outside going, well, is it done on the inside? How do I know? I can't tell. But they just seem to know. And you know, even the kids on like MasterChef Junior, I mean, it's like, seriously, how do they know? Where do those kids get that instinct from? How do they learn that? I mean, obviously they've been practicing, but crazy. You have such surety. Okay, so our meatballs are completed. Let's show you over here. We have 3 batches of meatballs made in different ways. We also have the meatballs that are in the sauce still. So now it's time to make our pasta. Well, you didn't think I was just having meatballs for dinner, did you? Seriously? That would be weird. No, meatballs, raisin meatballs go with ravioli. And again, I did not make the ravioli from scratch. I'm relying on a prepackaged version. Celentano, which are good. I've had these before. And these are big ones, so I like the bigger ones. The teeny tiny ones, the ratio of cheese to pasta is wrong. These are good. My grandmother's were even bigger than these. She made big square ones that are amazing, almost like little teeny single layer lasagnas. One of these days I'm gonna buckle down and do that, but I have to get that recipe from somebody else because I don't have that one. I believe my aunt has it. We shall see. But I do have to have something else, so. Teddy, you want anything else with this? You want to do some mozzarella sticks again and some garlic bread? Yeah, it's no problem. So I didn't show you how I made the garlic bread last time. But I can do it this time. Oh no, well, yeah, I can, but I'm gonna have to do it the hard way. Because as is my normal way, I did not pre-thaw the butter. And that's very important. But I have microwave will travel. Put that on there. Do maybe, I don't know, 15 seconds in the microwave. See what happens. You don't want it to be water, but you don't want it to be hard either. You need to be able to spread it very easily. So, a nice, easy butter. That's 15 right there. Let's see what we got. Nope, we're still hard. Again, not a euphemism. 10. Oh yeah, we're getting there. Closer. At least part of it's there. Alright. We can make do with this. So, take our butter. Take a good old spreading knife. Spreading knife! Piece of bread. Regular bread's fine. Any bread you like. I'm using Nature's Own whole grain, 100% whole grain bread. Take that part of the butter that you softened, just give it a slather on there. Yum! Oh, gotta turn on my water. Huh. I don't want that on low, I want that on high. Alright. Front side done, buttered. Now we do the other side. That's right, Teddy, just butter it up. Okay, both sides are now buttered. All right, now that we got both sides buttered, garlic powder, and just powder that baby up. And give it another spread with your butter spreader, otherwise known as a butter knife. And then toast to your preferred toastiness, however dark or light you like it. No problem. Okay, and now we're gonna serve. You know, I really wish I had some more crushed tomatoes. These are, I mean, there's sauce in there, but I'd like to make a secondary batch because this is not very much. It's a lot of meat. I don't know. Could you see that? Can you see it? Yeah, no. That's okay. Ah!